many of you trophy, but it's something that we will discuss later on in this week. We are going to have a panel discussion of sorts amongst the people at cricket.com, and we'll definitely live telecast it um, and take your questions regularly on our YouTube channel. But yeah, I see some people over there. If you can hear me, just send a thumbs up in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because and press the bell icon so that you can get the notification of whenever we post something on cricket.com and whenever the show happens. So I was just saying that today's discussion is mostly going to be uh, about the discourse on captaincy, because uh, many people view captaincy differently. Some think that it's the be all end all of the sport, and some find it irrelevant, so as to say that they don't think that captaincy can have any part in terms of the result of the game. Uh, I stand somewhere on the middle on this. I feel it does have an impact, but I don't think it's the be all and end all. So I wanted to address this and talk about what I feel is good captaincy and what should be required of a captain. So that's why I wanted to do that's why I wanted to do this do this episode. Uh, what I feel about captaincy is that any captain can be a good captain, even after not having the desired results, because a captain only makes up one person out of the 11 in your team, and there are other 11 members playing as well. So uh, so to pin the blame or to pin the loss on just one person is I don't think ever fair. And similarly, to pin the accolades for one win or one trophy isn't fair either, because one person really can't make or break the result and can't really be held responsible for it. I feel whosoever is a good captain um is someone who can make sure that his moves and his tactics can improve the percentages or the chances of his team or her team winning that game. As long as that is the move, or that is the idea behind any captaincy or a tactical move, I think it's good captaincy, because sometimes you really can't do much as a captain. Robin's here. Robin saying hello, baji, kya hal chal? Robin, I'm good. I hope you're good and you're happy. Exploit has sent me a question. I'll get to it. I'll get to it. But before that, I really want to have this discussion on captaincy. I want to take your questions on captaincy so that we can discuss that, because I feel the way the captaincy discoursed, or how someone is declared as a good captain or a bad captain, is purely on the basis of results, without having any weightage as to what was the team quality. Could the team have achieved more, or did the team really underperform despite captain doing the most correct things? Because that is also that can happen sometimes. As a captain, you can't do much if your best bowler, say Jasprit Bumrah in this case, is not performing, or isn't delivering on the big day. Or you can't do anything if your top batters are not going to score runs. You could do all the best moves, but it's something that is that's not in your control. Or someday the opposition can really outsmart you and outskill you, which is also a possibility. And then there is the factor of luck. If you go back to the 2015 World Cup semi-final, not between India and Australia, I'm talking about the one between uh, New Zealand and South Africa. uh, Brendan McCullum, being the kind of captain he was, he really tried very hard to bowl out or his best pacers in the effort to dismiss the AB de Villiers. And when the rain came, South Africa, who had batted 39 overs, and I think Saudi and Bolt in between them had only 3 or 4 overs left. And South Africa were really on course to score 400 runs. And 400 runs in a semi final, even if it was Eden Park in Auckland, it would have been a lot of runs. But rain came, the match was curtailed. South Africa really couldn't accelerate, and the target that was set to New Zealand was 298 in 43 overs, and that is something that really helped New Zealand. And from there on, when they started attacking, things came off. And then South Africa missed a few opportunities. So as a captain, you couldn't have done much. You would have had to feel for De Villiers, because that is something that can happen. You can't really plan for rain to happen. You can't really, plan for missed opportunities, and you can't really plan for someone batting as well as how Brendan McCullum did that day, or how Grant Elliott did. So these are the things that need to be accounted for whenever we are having the discourse of captaincy. Did the captain really try and do what was the best move on paper and ideally in terms of the match situation? If yes, then that person is a good captain. uh, and if he didn't do that despite getting the results, then maybe there's a need to work on that captaincy bit. And this is something that I've constantly stressed upon over the last 2 years on my Twitter account and otherwise, or on whatever videos I have been. Another example that I want to come up with is the Gabba Test match. First day when Kuldeep Yadav was left out and Washington Sundar was playing, everyone was criticizing Ravi Shastri and Ajinkya Rahane, and saying that this was a poor call. But when India won, everyone was hailing their captaincy and management. So my point is, if on day one you felt that someone was a bad captain or someone made a bad call, how could that opinion change in 4 days? It's basically an opinion in hindsight. It's basically an opinion based on result. And that's what I'm saying. A lot of people, a lot of captains also don't have that benefit of hindsight. So whenever we are judging a captain or whenever we are judging a captaincy call, we need to be aware of the things that are in front of the captain. What is the match situation and what are the options that a captain has? Sometimes the options that you have aren't just good enough, and as a captain you can't really do much in that. So these are the things that people sometimes need to understand, because captaincy is something which is extremely layered, and it's something which is extremely layered and really can't be judged in black and white or just on the basis of results. A few people are here. Rajesh is asking, hi Paji, how are you? Rajesh is someone who's a very regular viewer of this show, and he wanted to he was quite excited to for this episode, and I'm quite happy that he's here. uh, there's a comment that has come in by Vansh Kothari. Are people casual? Obviously care about more white ball stuff rather than tests. That's just a cold-blooded, harsh fact. Else Kohli would have been celebrated more as a captain than Dhoni as LOI. Maybe if Kohli would have won the World Test Championship, then people would have, celebrated him as much, because people are also obsessed with trophies. That's what I'm saying. That uh, people base captaincy on the basis of results. It's not that Dhoni never made any mistake, because between India winning the 2011 World Cup and then India playing the 2015 World Cup, India lost a series, or after the 2015 World Cup, up till 2016, or till the time Dhoni was the ODI captain, India lost a ODI series to Pakistan at home. India failed to qualify for the finals of a tri series between India, England, and Australia. India lost a series to Bangladesh in Bangladesh. Uh, India had India had quite a few struggles in that year. In that period, they had lost a test series to lost a test series to England at home, and that was something that had not really happened before. So it's not that MS Dhoni didn't make mistakes, or there weren't poor results or bad results under MS Dhoni's captaincy. India had lost an ODI series under MS Dhoni's captaincy in England, which was 3-0. India had lost a ODI series under MSG's captaincy in South Africa, which was again a bilateral series where Quinton de Kock scored those 300s. What I'm saying is that people really tend to forget that what all has happened in between or the process of captaincy. What they tend to remember is what was the eventual result in a ICC tournament. And that's not really how you should be always judging captaincy. In my view, in the 2015 World Cup, India did really overperform, because India really did not have the bowling to dismiss seven oppositions back to back until the quarterfinal, but they did that. And if you look at the 2012 ICC World T20, if you look at India's pace attack, you will realize that what was the mistakes that were made, and how poor was our team. Because our pace attack in the 2012 World T20 was Zahir Khan, who was on his last legs, Irfan Pathan, Lakshmipati Balaji, and Ashok Dinda. We had only these four pacers in that World T20 in Sri Lanka. So what I'm saying is that people really need to look at things objectively. They really need to look beyond the results, and that is how they need to analyze captaincy, because if you're just going to look at results and then say, okay, good captain, you're not really going to understand the sport, uh, how complex it is, how layered it is. Chetan has something to add: trust and faith in team players, giving ample opportunities at the right moment and backing them, leading by example. Now, I understand what Chetan is saying. Um, the point is, if you are going to give ample opportunities to someone at the right moment and back them, there is someone who will always get missed out. Uh, a classic example of this is someone like Manoj Tiwari not getting enough opportunities when Rohit Sharma was getting opportunities despite not really doing well. Now, if Rohit Sharma wouldn't have had the career that he had post 2013, people would have really blamed MS Dhoni for not sticking, for not giving enough opportunities to Manoj Tiwari. And even Indian selectors, at that point of time in 2008, actually, Dilip Vengsarkar selected Virat Kohli ahead of Subramaniam Badrinath. And again, at that point of time, there was a genuine criticism that Subramaniam Badrinath was scoring more runs. So, given the talent pool and the players that India have had, it's always difficult to make sure that you are being fair to everyone, because selection at the end of the day is more about elimination. So yes, you can give ample opportunities to players, but at this point of time, with people not being extremely patient and being extremely result oriented, it also becomes difficult. And no matter how much someone says that the outside noise doesn't really affect them, it does, because very recently in a show in his own YouTube channel, Ravi Chandran was talking about a tactic that India wanted to try out, but they didn't, because they feared that it could really give them a lot of backlash. And that's how things work. So uh, sometimes you have to realize that even the best of captains or the selectors will always have some level of biasness, and that is bound to happen, because it is a subjective call. So yes, trust and faith needs to be there, and you want to give ample opportunities to someone, but at the same time, you'll have to realize that when you're going to give opportunities to someone else at some point of time will definitely miss out. And coming to the leading by example part, I'm not really sure that that is always in the hand of someone, because uh, it's not that Rohit Sharma doesn't want to score runs under his captaincy. He wants, but given the time at when he's been given the captaincy, he's not been, he's past his best years, I suppose. And if you are past your best years, it's difficult to lead by example. When Virat Kohli got his captaincy, he was in the prime of his career, so it was definitely easier for him to lead by example. And that is something that will not always happen. If we look at all the world T20s, we'll find out that most captains who have won the world T20 in that year haven't been really able to perform. Darren Sammy is another player. He's won two World T20s and not really performed. Paul Collingwood really didn't do anything in the 2010 World Cup. In fact, the best captain who performed, like the amongst the captains who won the World T20, the one with the best performance was Yunus Khan, because he had actually contributed to his team. Aaron Finch also really didn't contribute much. Last year, yes, Jaws Butler did. But what I'm saying is that it is not always possible to lead by example. It's not always down to effort. You want to do it, but sometimes your game isn't really at the best of their health, and sometimes you're just out of form that you can't do much about it. So these things will always happen, and it's something that people need to understand and realize. Okay, so the BGT question is here. Who should play at five in absence of Shreyas in the first test, and why? I'd like Shubman Gill to play at five. That's my call. You like Hardik the captain. I don't think he's a finished. I don't think he's a finished product. He's learning on the job. But the one criticism that I've had on him as a captain is that sometimes he wants to try and do everything by himself, which isn't possible physically or otherwise. Because if he tries to do that, he will end up injuring himself, or and then he'll end up at the NCA. Also, he needs to realize that as a death bowler, he isn't there, so he shouldn't be really bowling in the last 4 overs until and unless it's absolutely necessary and there is no other option. And uh, he should try and not anchor the innings. I think if he can try and work on his batting skill where he can start hitting from the get go itself, I think that would really help him. And I don't think any captain is perfect. I think all captains have a process. They need to keep reworking that process whenever they are encountering an obstacle. As long as they are doing that, I think they are good captains. Interesting. One major challenge I think that he'll face is that he'll have to make sure that he's not over bowling, or over bowling his spinners to a point of fatigue, wherein they've bowled so much that by the time the third or the fourth test comes, that they've lost all of their uh, potency, and they're struggling to bowl. So he'll have to mix up his bowling changes really well, and make sure that all of them have enough fuel left in the tank for them to bowl and last till the fourth test match. I think that will be very important for Pat Cummins. And who knows, maybe if David Warner continues to struggle, because he's not really scored a lot of runs and his away record isn't great. If Australia go two down, and David Warner again hasn't scored a lot of runs, who knows? Will there might be a position where he might have to take a tough call of dropping him. So that could be one challenge, because if David Warner doesn't score runs and Australia are two down, then there will be pressure on Pat Cummins as well as David Warner to maybe drop him. So would he do that? Not do that? That's a challenge in itself. And as a captain, I also wouldn't want to be in that position, to be very honest. Uh, to some extent, this is true. I'm not sure that England players don't do that, because sometimes they also do that. I think the problem with most ex cricketers around the world is that they don't keep up to date with the cricket that is happening. They haven't updated their ideas. They still believe that cricket is being played in the 90s or the 2000s, when there's been a lot of change in how the cricket was being played in early 2010, 11, 12, and now. So uh, I think their biases are too strong, and they also want to sometimes give sweeping statements. Like, I feel a lot of ex cricketers sometimes tend to play to the gallery. Like, a classic example of this was when India were about to play the ODI series against Sri Lanka. Everyone was talking about, oh, how can you drop Ishan Kishan? How can you drop Ishan Kishan? He's just scored 200 runs. But no one was, suggesting that who would he play in place of. So I think that's not really analysis, and that is just playing to the galleries for engagement and for controversy. A lot of executors do actually do that. Okay, this is a good question. I liked Gambhir as a captain, because the one thing that I liked about him as a captain was that he didn't want to ask any of his teammates to do something that he couldn't have done. As a captain, he was willing to stand at the silly point and short leg, and that is something I have not seen a lot of captains do. So that it's a small gesture, but it shows the entire team that, okay, uh, if I can do that, so can you. So that is one thing that I liked about Gautam Gambhir. The other was that he really didn't care for reputations, which we can see even in his commentary now. Even though I don't agree with his takes, but I respect him for the fact that while doing his cricket analysis and commentary, he doesn't really care for reputation. Then he's on, and he speaks his mind. uh, you could see that because he had chosen to drop Brett Lee when Brett Lee was a part of the Kolkata Knight Riders. He had chosen to drop Brendan McCullum. He had chosen to draw, and whenever KKR used to play against Chennai Super Kings or MS Dhoni, he knew that MS Dhoni struggled against spin. He wasn't afraid to put an attacking test match field against MS Dhoni. So that I like that thing about him a lot, that he really didn't care about reputations, and that's a good thing. As a captain, if you could do the same, that you're going to ask your teammates to do, then nothing like it. So I like these things about Gautam Gambhir, but I do think again he also doesn't watch as much cricket as he should. That's my opinion on some of the analysis that he does, but it is what it is. Vinesh Kotwani saying Virat dropped Ashwin in England and played Jadeja, but he was criticized after this. He played all three matches in South Africa, but couldn't succeed at Virat. Okay, so uh, I I'm split on this, because I still feel that maybe India could have played Ashwin at number 8 instead of Shardul Thakur, but I can understand why they didn't do that. Um because the way Ashwin bowled in that World Test Championship final was phenomenal. He was actually India's best bowler. So it's not that Ashwin couldn't have got the purchase out of the wickets in England. What went wrong for India and South Africa was that they played two number eights, both Shardul and Ashwin, and they really went short on batting, with the batting ending at number six. I remember categorically saying this, that if Jadeja is ruled out, India should go with a 7-4 combination with Hanuma Vihari batting at 7 and India playing the four bowlers. And those four bowlers, if you want to play four paces, then so be it. And you have Hanuma Vihari to bowl part time spin. So I'm not saying that there wasn't, like, it was an objectively bad call, but some criticism of that call was understandable because Ashwin had done well. And if you look at the domestic record as a batter of Ashwin and Shardul Thakur, Ashwin's clearly miles ahead. Ashwin has had 5 Test centuries. Shardul Thakur was averaging around 17, 18 with the bat in Ranji Trophy. So it was understandable why there was that criticism. Again, I'm going back to the same thing that I keep saying. A move isn't wrong or right just because it has given you a result. Sometimes you could make a wrong move, ignoring all the evidence in front of you, and the player could overperform than expectations, could play the best match of his life, or the opposition could not turn up, and you could still win. One move, or like one test match, one innings, one spell, etc., doesn't really vindicate a call as a good one or a bad one. We always need to judge things on a sample space. That is something that I keep emphasizing on, and that is how I judge someone as a captain as well. I will never really blame a captain, or give all the credit to a captain for a result, because getting a result is far more has far more factors than just captaincy alone. We saw what happened in South Africa when KL Rahul was the captain in Johannesburg. India still lost, and that was a more difficult wicket to defend runs on. And when Virat Kohli was the captain again in Cape Town, India still lost again. And I don't think both of them captained any differently. They had the same field positions, just that uh, KL had the misfortune of Siraj getting injured in the first innings, and then Bumrah bowling at 4 runs per over in the second innings. And with Virat again, uh, the batting could have done slightly more, and then the bowling wasn't just penetrative enough. Even Shami didn't turn up in that second innings, and uh, India lost the plot after that. Dean Elgar LBW was turned down. So, and the same bowlers that had given India 125 run kind of a lead in that Edgbaston test, or maybe it was 130, 140, I'm not sure, uh, conceded runs at more than 5 runs per over in that fourth innings in Edgbaston. So it's just a case of bowlers not turning up and bowling poorly, because just in the space of 2 days, someone can't become a bad captain, or the players can't really become bad bowlers. It's just about how sometimes cricket is, and that is something that people need to understand. Before I take the next question, I just want to request all of you, those who are watching, that please press the like button and subscribe to the channel, because there's a lot of content that is going to come up during the Border Gavaskar Trophy, and we'll keep you entertained. We'll keep you giving insightful content on all our social media platforms, as well as the website and the app. So please like, share, and subscribe this video. And yep, taking in the next questions. Akshay Hadij is asking, thoughts on Samsung as captain. I thought Samson did very well in the last IPL. The way he was formulating plans with Prasidh Krishna and asking him to bowl wide off outside off stump coming around the wicket, and then not really blaming his fielders for dropping in one odd catch, because he had himself done that, and he said it in one of the press conferences as well. And then there was a certain calmness to Samson. You felt that he was under control. You felt that he was okay with sometimes mistakes being committed, and I really thought that he understood the he understands the T20 format well, and he was allowing the players to be themselves. And tactically also, I didn't think he did anything poorly, so I really liked him as a captain. We'll get to this. I'll give my prediction tomorrow in a show that we'll do. We'll have a panel of cricket.com, and we'll have that discussion. So stay tuned for that. I'll give my prediction then. Uh, Charan Reddy is saying Rahul at 5 and Gill as an opener, because Rahul can play spin well and he can handle pressure better at middle like Rahul does in ODIs. Uh, I think Gill at this point of time is in such a form that if he gets to play with the older ball, because he still struggles a little bit against movement. Rahul has done well. He can really dominate line and can make things easy. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't really mind even if Gill's made an opener and Rahul's at five. But I don't really think that he can handle pressure better in the middle order. Uh, because ODIs are different in this regard. Because if you are three down quite early, then it's a different story altogether. Kavin Kumar is asking, what will be the role of Virat in this? BGT needs to be more aggressive, or should be trusting his defense because he's getting more often than when he's trying. Okay, so this is an extremely interesting question. It will just come down to the kind of pitch it is. If it is a rank turner where you think that as a uh, if you think that the pitch is a rank turner and you can't really defend for long, then you're better off looking at scoring opportunities. And I'm not sure how many shots does Virat have against Spin at this moment of time. Uh, but yes, the one thing that he's getting out to he's getting out while defending against spin is because against left arm spin he's not picking up the right line and trajectory. It's not because he's defending, because against while defending he looks more than okay. It's the fact that he doesn't really have a lot of shots which allows the bowlers to get into a rhythm. So he'll have to find a way to upset their rhythms and lines of spinners particularly, and if he does that, then he should be okay. uh taking a few questions. I agree with this, that he plays space better than spin, and hence his Ranji batting record isn't that good. Yes, this is a good point. Amrish Karpe is saying, is getting a feeling from inside that KL will score 100 in BGT. Also, everyone's talking about spinners line, but there's coming. Yes, 100%. And if KL scores 100, I'd be really happy, because it would really, uh, make sure that fans go a little easy on him. The guy's been under a lot of pressure from the outside. People really want to go after him for everything. So if he scores 100, yeah, hopefully it really turns around his career, and really make sure that he goes on to express himself and play freely in other formats as well. Really hoping for this. And yes, I agree with the point that you've made about Cummings and Hazelwood. Oh, this is interesting. My favorite Indian commentator is someone who I don't think many would agree with or many like, but I like Sanjay Manjrekar as a commentator and as an analyst. He sometimes has his bad days, but I think when he's talking about techniques, he's spot on. And what I also like about him is that he's not afraid. He speaks his mind, and he sometimes, when what he said about KL Rahul after the eliminator of the IPL last year is something that only he was capable of saying. He called out his approach, and he said that someone needs to tell KL Rahul that he can't be a Rohit or a Kohli or a Dhoni who will take it deep and then finish off the game. He needs to play himself, and he really needs to clear his head. And I don't think any Indian commentator uh, was going to say that. So I like the fact that he speaks his mind, and I really like the way how he decipher techniques, because uh, I think when he's doing that, he's actually very good. So I like him. I know many don't, but I like him. Umesh and Siraj, or Umesh and Shami for BJT? Umesh and Siraj for me. Amrish Karpe is saying, thoughts on Gill 100 in T20. Glad that he's performing and repaying the faith the team management shown on his play. See, what I liked about him the most was that he started off well in the power play. He was 34 of 20, and then he got stuck a little after getting to 45 of 29. He was 46 of 30, and then he took six balls or something to reach to 51, and from there on he really exploded. So uh, there's an obvious effort to work on his intent, and that's a good sign. See, he has the shots and he has the talent. I don't think that's something which should be debated about. And while I do agree that he was given his T20I debut when he wasn't really ready and he needed to work on his power play strike rate, but now they have chosen to back him in the fact that he's delivered in his just sixth T20I game. It's a good sign. Hopefully he builds on it, and hopefully in the upcoming IPL, he ends up averaging around 35 40, 35 with a strike rate of 140, 145, because I think he's capable of that. And if he starts showing intent in the power play, there's no reason why he can't achieve it. It should. I think India will go in with three spinners being Ashwin, Jadeja, and Akshar. Maybe Jadeja bats at 6, KS Bharat bats at 7, Ashwin at 8, and Akshar at 9. And I think that should really um, compensate for the lack of top order form. And I do believe that Rohit's batting well, and he should do something good in the BGT. Gill's in good form, so hopefully there is something that helps, that we look forward to. Whom do you like being Indian captain after 5 years, 6, or whom do you see becoming Indian captain after 5, 6 years? Okay, I don't see the same one Indian captain for all three formats. Shreyas Iyer is someone I think can become an Indian captain in ODIs, but not so maybe maybe around 2025 he can become that Indian captain, but by then hopefully he's sorted out his short ball issue. Uh, in tests, maybe Pant, not so sure. In T20Is, I think after Hardik, I'd like Samson to become a captain, because I really like the way he understands the format and captains Rajasthan Royals in the IPL. Today in World Cricket, India versus Australia test far interesting and competitive than Ashes. Your thoughts, Paji? 100%. I don't think it's debatable, because England versus Australia in Australia is not a contest anymore. Even before India had won the two test series back to back in Australia, India was still competitive, barring that series in 2011. So yeah, uh, I don't think this is up for debate, and India are very strong in the at home. Harsaib Singh is saying Sanjay Majrekar as an analyst is pure class. One can sense that he notices and observes a lot. He's just on a different league than current lot of Indian commentators. I agree. A lot of Indian commentators just don't see any cricket and forget watching any other matches. They sometimes don't even watch the matches that they are commentating on. And Sanjay Manjrekar on that front is actually quite good. So I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, some of this panic I think is overblown. I still feel that India are favorites going into the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Maybe if India start off well, that panic amongst Indian fans and analysts will take a backseat, because uh, yeah, I, I do think that India is still very strong. I think the 7-8, the try of spinners is the real differentiator, and uh, I do believe that Rohit has some good knocks in him for this Border Gavaskar Trophy. I think Pujara is also going to play line well, because his issues been with left arm spin and not really against off spin. And if Pujara is able to turn a corner in the series, um, I think it would be difficult for Australia. So for me, yes, I still think India is a favorite going into this series without a doubt. Uh, as much as I like to play Kuldeep, I don't know how we can drop Akshar given his record and given the way how he was the most threatening spinner, and the most threatening spinner in Bangladesh when the ball had gone soft in the first test and in the second test. So, and the SG ball that India play test matches with in India actually goes softer much earlier. So I really don't know how can Akshar be left out. For me, no. And Akshar's batting also is far more valuable than Kuldeep. So for me, the three spinners that will start are Ashwin, Akshar, Jadeja. Even though Kuldeep has done well, I don't think he's done as well to replace any of the three. India is producing great cricketers, but when will be able to produce great umpires? What should BCCI need to prioritize this after? I think Nitin Menon is a good umpire, but maybe there needs to be more training of umpires, because Nitin Menon is good, and probably, and it's something the umpiring has actually been an issue in the IPL. So we really need to make sure that there is probably more training and more investment into that. And yes, It's something that BCCI do need to work on, because it's impossible for a country like India to not have good umpires given how many people follow the sport and have played the sport. Nitin Menon is actually a good one, but uh, there needs to be more. What do you expect the pitches to be? I expect the pitches to have a little bit of pace and bounce, because that is something that interests the spinners as well. I'm not so sure if they will be rank turners, because on rank turners the quality between an Ashwin and a Travis Head really is diluted, because on a rank turner anyone who can roll the arm can get spin. So I actually want pitches to have pace and bounce and be good for batting, decent for batting, because that is where the quality of the bowlers really stands out, and I want that quality of the bowlers to stand out. So those are the kind of pitches that I expect. Also, whenever India have actually played at a rank turner at home, they've been in trouble. They lost to Australia when they played on a rank turner in Pune. They've had Bean Elgar come and take 4 wickets. They've had Root take 5 for 8 in Ahmedabad Test with the pink ball. So I don't think that the pitches would be rank turners. I also expect the Kotla pitch to play a little slow, because that's how the nature of the pitch is. Uh, Sadly, no. There are a lot of people who are watching the Delhi Test match. I wanted to be there, but I have some other commitments, so won't be able to. Sorry. What is the bowling attack of Australia in your POV? 2.2 spinners or 3 spinners with Cummings and Green? I think they'll play 2 spinners with Green being the fifth bowler, who's the all rounder. Cummings will definitely be the one pacer, and then they'll switch between Hazelwood, because Stark's not there. Hazelwood, Stark, and Boland would probably be the second pacer. Yes, Khwaja's actually quite good against spin, and he's going to be someone who can actually make an impact. Who's better spinner, Harbhajan or Ashwin Adar? For me, it's okay. So you mean outside of India, other than SG ball? Uh, I'll have to look at this closely, but I feel Ashwin is the better spinner. Yes, but he'll have to wait his time, Irfan, because even Sarfraz is not getting into the 11. So we'll have to wait on that. Are you happy with how Imran Malik's been bowling recently? His worst game was probably in Indore. See, Indore is not the kind of venue where you can judge bowlers on, because it has very little for bowlers in terms of boundary size, and his pace actually enabled Conway and other Kiwi batters to use his pace and hit him for boundaries. Uh, yes, I do feel he's working on his control, and I think the only way he can improve or work the I think sorry the only way he can improve is by playing a lot more international cricket, because his pace is really going to be a differentiator. If he really plays, his pace is a differentiator, and it's not going to help him uh, when he plays like it's not going to help him improve when he plays domestic cricket, because whenever he gets it straight or on target, he's going to dismiss batters. So if he has to learn control, he has to play international cricket, because his pace is going to make it too easy for him in the domestic circuit, as far as I'm concerned. Just one reminder to all of you who are watching this, that please press the like button, and subscribe to the channel. We have a lot of content that keeps coming up on cricket.com, on the YouTube channel, on the app, on the website, and as well as uh, on our social media handles. I wanted to do this show purely on the captaincy bit, but I see a lot of you have questions for the BGT, which we'll take tomorrow as well. I really want you guys to ask me questions on the captaincy bit, because that is why I wanted to do that show for. I'm taking this question from Kushal, because it's a question that he's asked multiple times. For me, it's KS Bharat, because the way Kishan has played Glenn Phillips or spin in this recent series, I'm not really convinced that he'll be able to play well against Lion. So for me, it's KS Bharat. Uh, Ashwini is asking me my views on modern day Indian batters against spin. Um, I don't think they play spin any worse. There's been a decline in Virat's game, but I still feel that he defends well. Even Pujara used to play spin well. He's now struggling a little bit against left arm spin. And if we look at the modern day batters, if you look at Shubman Gill, he really doesn't struggle against spin. He has the big shots. Mayank Agarwal doesn't. Uh, so at their peak, I think even these batters dominated spin really well. Spin has actually undergone a change as well post 2017, 2018, where spinners have become far more quicker than what they used to be. And that's really forced a lot of batters to play more of the back foot instead of the front foot. And that's really, that's tested a few batters. We see Surya Kumar Yadav play spin very well. Rahul Tripathi plays spin very well. So I think some of this opinions that current Indian day batters can't play spin is a little over the top. I still think that they can defend well, even the likes of Virat and Pujara. But yes, they sometimes lag the shots. Charan Reddy is saying if Virat improves the game against spin, then he can play 2020. Uh, by then, I think India will have enough experience in Shubman Gill, Hardik, and Pant, so this should be okay. Who should be the next Test captain? Don't think Rohit will play Test after this cycle. In an ideal world, you could have expected Pant to be that next captain, but we don't know when Pant will be fit, so it's difficult to say. And yeah, I'm not so sure who would be the next captain. I would have ideally like Ashwin to become a captain in the meantime, and Ashwin captain in the home test, Bumrah being the captain in overseas test. So don't know, but at this point of time, we need to really see and evaluate how Pant's coming along in after that accident and how fit is he before we start thinking of him as a captaincy option in test matches. Nitin Acharya is asking, how do you think Pat Cummins has handled captaincy even though being a fast bowler? I think he's done well. I think he's understood. The one good thing that I've liked about Cummins, the captain, is that he's not overbowled or underbowled himself. Sometimes bowling captains either tend to overbowl by themselves when they think that they are bowling well, and if they're not bowling well, or eh, when the decision is in their hands, sometimes they really don't want to bowl when it could be apt for them to bowl. So I think he's actually done that well. Looking at other questions. Thoughts on Jadeja coming after a long break. Hopefully he does well because if his batting has really been something that has helped India in overseas test matches and also at India, because in the absence of Pant and Shreyas, India would really need him to bat well in that first test and otherwise as well. So hopefully you know uh, he does well because make no mistake, he's been one of India's MVPs in test matches over the last 3-4 years, especially after the 2018 Oval Test match. So yeah, hopefully he does well. Har Saib saying Virat showed some promising signs in the third ODI versus New Zealand. Played some cuts as far as I remember. One sweep shot. If he had one sweep shot, if he adds, could really become a bliss for him. Hope he does well due to Pant's absence. Well, all of us are hoping that. We really want the old Virat back who used to dominate and milk spin as as well as he could. So hopefully he you know uh, gets back to his old ways. Oh, this is a nice question. Most underrated captain according to you? Rahul Dravid. Uh, he gets a lot of criticism for India not making past the group stages in the 2007 World Cup. But before that 2007 World Cup, in the 2 years that he captained, uh, he made sure that India got over their fears of chasing a total. India made a record of 16 or 17 chases in a row. And he made sure that the likes of MS Dhoni, Suresh Raina, and Yuvraj Singh, all of them who were potentially top three batters, because MS Dhoni, when he used to play for India A or for Jharkhand, was a top order batter. So was Suresh Raina. He understood that these guys could do well in the middle order, and he gave them that freedom to go out and play. And if they would fail, they were bagged. Suresh Raina, came into the team in 2005, and then when India, did well in that 2011 World Cup, we had that middle order: Yuvraj Singh, MS Dhoni, and Suresh Raina. So I liked Rahul Dravid's captaincy because he took the fear away of chasing from India, and many will say that, to bat Sachin at 4 was a wrong move, because Sachin, uh, would have been far more impactful as an opener, and I agree with that. That maybe if Sachin had opened, he would have been far more impactful. But just before that World Cup, Sachin had scored 100, I think, in 70, 80 balls while batting at 4 against West Indies in Vadodara, if I'm not wrong. So I can understand why they batted Sachin as at 4, because at number 4 you see variety, you face uh, different kinds of situations all the time, and Sachin was skillfully and technically the best batter that India had at that point of time, and he had the gas to start quickly, or to the technique to arrest a collapse. He was just the best batter that was there. So to have him at 4 did make sense from a team point of view, because it would have allowed to get the best out of all other players also. Maybe it wouldn't have really, you know maybe a Sachin opening would have allowed for more impact from Sachin itself. But again, the team would have been far more dependent on Sachin if Sachin would have been dismissed early, and then no one to really arrest that collapse. So I thought that move was a good one, but unfortunately Sachin not, getting a very good ball by Dilhara Fernando in that Sri Lanka game, and not really getting out to left arm spin in that Bangladesh game didn't really help. But I think that Rahul Dravid was a very good captain. We got Irfan Pathan. We unlocked Irfan Pathan's potential as as an all rounder under Rahul Dravid, and we tried a lot of things, and it really it's something. I mean, as a viewer, I was quite excited about Indian cricket at that point of time, because we knew that something or the other would keep happening, and India were doing well. Uh, I think what has changed now is that a lot of Indian players are not in their peak as what they used to be when Shastri was the coach. Because in 2019, when India went to the World Cup, India's top three were in peak. Bhuvneshwar Kumar was bowling very well. Hardik Pandya was bowling 10 overs every game. Yuzvendra Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav were doing well. Bumrah was at his peak and not really gotten injured. Shami was doing well, but now three years down the line, players are struggling. They're not really at their peak. Hardik's had back issues. Shami's been out. Chahal's really not bowling the way we have seen him bowl. There a lot has happened in that period of time. Shikhar Dhawan's been dropped. So for me, Rahul Dravid remains a very underrated captain, because he was not afraid of trying new things. And some of the things didn't give results instantly, but they did eventually, because that middle order of UV, Dhoni, and Raina were not uh, were not overawed whenever they had to chase a score, which used to happen a lot with the Indian team from 2000 to 2005, barring that one great chase in NatWest Trophy. So I like Rahul Dravid, the captain. This is something that I 100% agree with. Chetan's made an excellent point, and I 100% agree with it. I have nothing really to add on this. Uh, yes, Ajit Agarkar has been quite good. I'm not really sure if he's in the commentary panel, because of Virat's aggression and focusing on fast bowlers is key in overseas. Yes, Virat focusing on fast bowlers and focusing on a fitness regime was key for success, and he gets a lot of credit for that. But yeah, we also have to realize that a lot of the wins that India got in 2020, in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021 uh, happened before a few failures in 2014, in 2015, even in 2018. So it's a process. Things don't happen instantly in sport. Oh, they have a habit to criticize pitches like that, because uh, yeah, it doesn't make any sense. For me, it's Akshar. I've already explained why. Because I don't think that Akshar can be dropped at this point of time. I'm not seen the visuals, and a lot of times a lot of batters are batting together. So what I do know is that it's going to be very hard to keep out Gill given the kind of form he is. Do you think Surya Kumar Yadav could be given the Bumrah treatment in T20s that enables the management to experiment more freely? Uh, the Bumrah treatment is given to Bumrah is because Bumrah plays all three formats. Surya Kumar Yadav doesn't. So I'm not so sure that they're going to rest Surya Kumar Yadav for now, and they wouldn't really want to spoil his touch. How Australia plan against Akshar Patel, because they don't play well against him in T20 and his records in Test are exceptional. We'll have to see what they do, because Akshar is also the kind of bowler who doesn't really allow you to sweep, because that's something that would also find out. And if the pitches have a little bit of bounce, it becomes even more difficult to play the sweep against him. Also, he uses the angle very well. He sometimes comes from close to the wicket with a high arm action, and sometimes he bowls with a round armish action and bowls wide of the wicket. And when you see a left-hander bowling wide of the wicket with a round armish action, your instinct as a right-handed batter is to play and protect your stumps and the pad. But the if the ball turns, then you're really found wanting, and you just just try to get a feel of the ball. Sometimes end up edging it to the slip. So it's going to be difficult to tackle Akshar. Make no mistake about it. They're just mind games. I mean, we all have tried to replicate Zahir Khan's action, to replicate Shane Warne's action, and whatnot, but all of us know that we are nowhere close to that. So you could have the same similar action, but it's not replicating an action and bowling with the same quality is just different things altogether. And Ashwin's completely capable of changing his action. So I'm not so sure how much it's going to help. Uh, yes, in between. It started after 1 week break yesterday, and I did watch the game. I was very impressed with the way Kimo Paul batted in the chase. Couldn't really watch the first innings. I think it's time for baseball to fail in difficult conditions, and its hype should be calmed down now. I'm actually interested to see how it goes, because if New Zealand play their full strength bowling attack and the pitches have movement, the kind of pitches that they put in for India, then it could get interesting. But sometimes New Zealand actually play on very flat tracks, because they lost a test match to Bangladesh, and that pitch had more bounce than movement, if I'm not wrong. So I'd be interesting to see that, because if they lose to New Zealand, I'd be very interesting to see what is the discourse, and what do they make of baseball then. But even then, even if the pitches are difficult, I would understand why the English batters would take the baseball approach, because sometimes it could be impossible to consistently defend on those pitches if the ball's really moving around. So your best chance is actually to uh, attack the bowlers and see if they can be um, uh, you know if they can if their lines can really be set off and put off. So it would be interesting to see that series. uh I don't know, I really haven't watched it a lot. I mean, there's so much cricket, it's impossible for anyone to catch all the cricket that happens. Yes, yes, that's what I said, that's what I said. Probably yes. And also Stephen O'Keefe is 38 now, if I'm not wrong. So maybe they think he's past his prime. Not really sure. No, not really, because a lot of times in these practice games, you have counties. Uh, when India play those practice games, counties actually play with their second 11s, and there isn't your you don't really face a test of quality. It's better to. That's why sometimes India have had inter squad matches to practice. Uh, and honestly, with the current schedule, I don't think there's enough time to play practice matches. And who knows that even if they would have played practice matches, they wouldn't have got the pitches that you would ideally want, you would counter in test matches. So it's understandable why they didn't. Mm, yeah, maybe with yes, but I think they are happy with Kuldeep's progress, and but I do think that he could be India's long term number five. I think why he hasn't been in the squad is because they want him to protect for the ODI World Cup, given the kind of injuries that he's had in the last 1.5 years. Because I rate him very highly. I also think that he's now bowling more like a conventional spinner, especially since the time he made his comeback in that ODI series versus West Indies at home. He's bowling slower. He's getting drift. So I do think he could be a good option if something was going to happen to Ashwin. But I can understand why they have not have had him in the squad. I would have had him in the squad. I really like him, and I like his batting potential to bat well in your first two test matches in at Gaba and then at Chennai. Two extreme pitches in the world, and he actually batted well in Ahmedabad as well in that fourth test. So I like his batting. I think he can really bowl well, and on pitches with pace and bounce, he could really be a handful with his accuracy. Uh, but I think India want to protect him for the ODI World Cup. Does baseball work in India versus India? Your thoughts? It would be difficult I'd be surprised if it succeeds because I don't think that England batters can sweep their way out of trouble against Indian spinners, and Indian pacers are also quite accurate that they wouldn't really give them that chance to just drive them through the line. I mean, what views do you want me to give on those who talk rubbish? I mean, it's best to ignore them, and sometimes if they go over the line, just call out their nonsense. That's about it. But really don't know what else to say on that. uh, yes, he needs to work on his game. Will he get dropped from the next T20 series? I don't know because the next T20 I series will be after the IPL. If he has a good IPL, he might just keep his spot. So it's difficult to say. Exploit. I don't think baseball is not equal to instead of. Yeah, it's not. I'm just talking of the what could happen. I'm saying that is one of the possibilities. Yes, most likely yes. We will update you guys on our social media because we do plan to have one panel discussion of sorts amongst our amongst our people on cricket.com. And if that happens, we'll really promote it and we'll let you guys know. Harsaib Singh says baseball still feels gimmicky. They're just making good use of their available resources, just like considering. Yes, I don't think everyone can replicate it. I do agree with this 100%. Excited to see how Bharat keeps for Ashwin Akshar Jadeja. He's considered to be best technically sound keeper in domestic circuit. He actually kept well against all three in that Kanpur Test match in that second innings when Saha was injured. So yes, he should do well. Shubman had his struggles in India versus England, so KL should start. Your thoughts? See that series was played on some very difficult batting wickets, and almost everyone had troubles. Uh, I think KL was anyway going to start, even if Ayer was fit as an opener. But now that Shreyas is not fit, maybe they could slot in Gill at number 5, which I think is a position more suited to him rather than opening because I still feel he has some work to do against the ball coming in. And he's tried to work on that because during the ODI series, he was taking a leg stump guard against Lockie Ferguson for this reason only. He wanted to protect his pads and be able to play inside the line and not really get trapped on the stumps and get out LBW or bold. So uh, he's still working on it. Hopefully, he works on this. Uh, just wait. Taking at a Priyanshu Shah, who died 5 or 6 in T20, he don't deserve a place in. To be honest, in T20 if he's not playing. Uh, I think India's best bet as a finisher is Samson at 6 because he has a lot of strokes against pace bowling. I don't agree with Huda at 6 as a finisher. Yeah, I, that's what I feel. So I think India are committing a mistake by playing him at number 6 because he's clearly a better bowler of spin bowling than against pace bowling, and I don't think he has the experience as well of finishing the games. Bowlers like Akshar need dust bowls, doctor pitches to make an impact. There is nothing special about him, to be honest. He bowled well in Bangladesh, and they weren't dust bowls. He bowled well in the first Test match as well. So I disagree with this. I've never had one favorite. My favorites have changed over time. At one point of time, it was Sachin, then it was Dravid, then Lakshman, then Virat, and Pant, Bumrah. So difficult to have one favorite cricketer all the time. Uh, yes. No, actually, they might actually start with Akshar and Ashwin and Bull. We will have to see. Uh, it's just his image. It's just his image because people have lost a lot of faith in him after what he's done in T20Is. But yes, I agree with you that uh, yeah, people are unnecessarily pessimistic about him. Can was better. They might, but I'm not so sure. If it would be a great idea because they also don't have a lot of experience. Maybe if it's a rank turner, they could play Todd Murphy along with another spinner and come in with three spinners. But I, I don't really see them starting that way. Maybe if they lose one or two test matches and they think that there's nothing left to lose, they might do it then. I agree. I wanted Sarfraz to be in the squad for the test series against Bangladesh, and one of the reasons for that was that the team management would have seen him bat in the nets and probably would have then maybe included him in the squad for Australia. Once he was not a part of the test series against Bangladesh, it was difficult for him to make the squad for the Border Gavaskar Trophy and difficult to play in the 11. But yes, he should get his chances. StreamYard. StreamYard is quite nice. I use that only. Uh, Subodh, I've seen him bowl a little bit. I'm not seen him bowl that well. He's done well in phases, I believe, even in the Asset 20. But I think I need to see a lot more of him to give you conclusive answer. But yes, he's bowling. He's definitely bowling well, better than what I had thought what he'd do after injury. You see Rohit scoring bulk in the series. Signs are definitely there because he's been batting well in ODIs, uh, playing spin well in ODIs. So hopefully he does because I think India would need that. Do you see team management start looking at the future in post? Yeah, maybe, and hopefully they do because that's the best way to go about it. Is it happiness? Jofra and Mumra in IPL have doubts on their fitness here. See, fast bowlers will always have doubts over their fitness because what they do is unnatural. But yes, uh, it would be quite something to watch them play together. He's someone who shares the same surname as I do, in my opinion. But yeah, I think Shubman Gill's the best under 25 cricketer in the world at this point of time. Yeah. Naseem Shah would come close. Naseem Shah and Shubman Gill. Yes, Naseem Shah and Shubman Gill should be those uh, best under 25 cricketers in the world at the moment. Yeah, for me. Oh, that way. Um, Hotstar is definitely better than Sony Live. Kavin Kumar's asking, what is your thoughts of Virat as captain? Okay, so the way Virat started his captaincy, I felt he was too impatient, and there was a because he was himself so good as a player. Sometimes I think that he really couldn't understand why players not as good as him in terms of skill can take some time to perform to their potential because not everyone's like Virat or Sachin who could come in and perform as well as and perform consistently because these are special players. There are other players as well who need some backing, who need some time, who need some opportunities to do well. So I thought sometimes Virat was impatient on that front and really did a lot of changes. And I think that that impatience and the tendency to be that tendency to go with the gut and not really look at the process hurt him in the 2019 World Cup with India not having a number 4. It also hurt him uh, in a few test matches as well because in the first test in 2018, India did not play Chedeshwar Pujara because he was in poor form. But even if he was in poor form, I think he still had the better measure of conditions as opposed to KL Rahul or uh, or Shikhar Dhawan, both of them who played that test match. And eventually India ended up losing that test match by the 30 runs. And Virat just needed someone else to stand with him on the crease, and he would have, made sure that India could win that test match. Then playing Rohit in the two test matches in South Africa in 2018, and then eventually going back to Ajinkya Rahane. So he's had his share of mistakes. He's dropped Pujara a couple of times, played KL and Rohit ahead of him. So I thought he made a lot of mistakes till 2019, but post 2019, he learned from his mistakes. He became a better captain. He was far more patient. He was playing the same 11s. He was sticking to a process more often than not, even in the IPL and for India. And I thought he had actually become a better captain post 2019. So, again, once after 2019 World Cup, I just thought that he was a very different captain. He was far more measured. He was far more calm, and he was far more patient. So those are my thoughts on him as a captain. Results, everything is something different, because you could really be a poor captain but have a great team and get the results. And if you look at the team that Australia had in 2003 2007 World Cup, most captains would have won the World Cup with that uh, with that squad. So there's that as well. So uh, Virat, I think, what I liked the most about Virat as a captain was that he learned with his mistakes, and he was willing to back his players on the field, and put all their support behind them. And the thing that I like about him a lot as a captain is that he's the biggest cheerleader that you can have. um, he would he sacrificed going for his own triple hundred against South Africa in Pune in 2019, but at the same time he allowed that opportunity to Karun Nair. And trust me, no one would have batted an eye if Virat would have gone for his triple century, but he didn't. So I like the fact that he was selfless rather, not selfish. Sorry, he was selfless. But yes, could have been a little more calm and patient in his initial years. But that is something that happens. All captains go through a journey, through a process, and then become better. And that was the case with Virat. I don't really think that uh, you know. A lot of people say that Virat is a better captain than Rohit Sharma. A lot of people say that Rohit Sharma is a better captain, but as far as I'm concerned, there's not a lot of difference between the two. Uh, it's how you say in Hindi ki 19-20 का फर्क है, कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं है. They're pretty much the same captains. We'll have to see if Prasidh gets fit, because Prasidh has been unfit for a long time. And he was named to play in that India A series versus New Zealand, the 4-day test matches, but he's not been 4-day games, but he's not been fit. So we'll have to wait and see. 100% agree. Ashwin, the test captain, is something, or Ashwin, the India captain, is a prospect that I really wanted to see at some point of time. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, because he's one cricketing brain that is so intelligent and so forward looking that I just can't explain. I have a lot of respect for him, because he continues to evolve, he continues to try new things, and he's not afraid of it. Thoughts on Kaur's captaincy as we are heading into the World T20? Do we all need women coach? Do we need all women coaching setup for the betterment of women's cricket? Okay, I, I think sometimes, in the Commonwealth World Cup, I thought they could have selected a better squad. Leaving out Richa Ghosh wasn't a great idea, uh, and Harmanpreet Kaur and Ramesh Pawar have made their share of mistakes. The second part of the question is something that I really can't answer, because uh, I'm not aware, to be very honest, that what are the coaching setups of the different teams. Like, what is the coaching setup of an Australia or in England? If they all of them have an all-woman coaching setup and it helps, then yes, we should go for it. But pardon my knowledge on this. Shweta Haranhalli, who she does a show every Monday on women's cricket, which goes by the name of What's Up with Women's Cricket. I think she can answer this question, and it's something that you should definitely ask in the comments. And we'll have her answer this. Maybe she can understand answer this better. I'm sorry, I can't. There is no reason he can't be. And post his comeback, he's done very well. What people forget is that even Yuvraj Singh really struggled initially in his first 50 games and didn't had an average of less than 30. In terms of skill, he really can be India's best number four. There is no doubt about it. But we'll have to now wait because of his unfortunate accident and see how he makes his place in the 11, because Shreyas has been extremely consistent. Virat's there, and so is KL Rahul. So we'll have to see. But in terms of skill, there is nothing stopping him from becoming India's best ODI number four. I've been on the show for 1 hour 10 minutes now, and now getting a little tired. Uh, Taking in the last 4 or 5 questions before I end this show. And to those who are watching, I just want to ask you guys that please press the like button and share this video with all the cricket fanatics who you know, especially if you think that it's good enough. I suppose now that you're there and you've been along with me for quite some time, you do feel that I speak some sense. So please do share it with your friends, and do press the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you get notifications and you know whenever we are having something on the cricket.com YouTube channel. There's our app as well. The QR code is there on your screens to download the app. A lot of content is going to come your way for the Border Gavaskar Trophy, the Women's T20 World Cup, the SA20, and everything else that is there. Then the IPL. And we keep trying our best to make sure that we provide you the best cricket content that is possible. Exploit is asking me a few words on Murli Vijay. I love him so much. uh, I wish Murli Vijay could have played more for India. I thought that when he got dropped, he was slightly unlucky because uh, he played on difficult pitches and he got some deliveries which no other batter would have kept out. You look at the 2018 England tour, he got dropped after the Lord's Test match, and then pitches in Oval, Southampton, and in Trent Bridge were flatter than what they were in Lords, and he got two pitches from Anderson in Lords. Couldn't have done much about it. In South Africa, he had batted really well in the second innings in Joburg, which was a very difficult pitch. And then in Australia, he got dropped after batting well in the second innings in Perth. And the first test in Adelaide was on a spicy wicket. So I felt that India could have stuck with him a little longer because KL Rahul was anyway struggling rather than opening with Hanuma Vihari. But yeah, uh, I would have liked Murli Vijay to play longer, because then he went back and scored some runs in county cricket and made a comeback. I suppose as well in between, but I loved him and the kind of range that he possessed, because he was a very good T20 opening batter at one point of time for Chennai Super Kings, and then he transformed into a very good Test match opener who would leave so well. A lot of people talk about his 90 in 99 in Adelaide and his 95 in Lords, but the 100 that he scored in Brisbane in 2014 as an opener on day one was an innings of high quality. The way he batted in Johannesburg was quite good in that 2018 tour. 2013, the way he batted in Durban on first day was something which was quite appreciable. So I really liked him. There's a chance, but I don't think it would happen. Anyway, just 1 minute left before I go off. Anything else that you guys want to add? And just making one request again, that please like the video and just mark the time on your calendars, 8 p.m. every Friday, Deep Point with Gilly Cricket. I'll always be there to take your questions and have a few insightful, deep discussions and take in your comments as well. It's not a show where I just speak to you. It's a show where you also speak to me, and I take a lot of questions. Amit M's saying something about baseball uh, is not just about blind slogging, as we Indian fans derogatively term it. It is about eliminating fear of failure and showing intent, as was lacking under Root. Maybe that's another view to look at it, but I don't think that all Indian fans derogatively term it. I think it's also a lot to do with how the English media is hyping it. It's not that simple. I don't think only Indian fans derogatively term it. So yeah. Um Anything else that you guys want to ask before I end this show? Because it's been quite long. It's been a 1 hour 15 minute show. I now need to go. And yeah, it's been quite fun talking to all of you. I still see a lot of people there waiting. Hopefully, I see you guys again tomorrow when we do a BGT preview. We will have predictions. We will have a conversation on what could be the key battles, some numbers, and everything else. And um, hopefully you guys enjoy that show. Next Friday will we meet, second day of first test. If we don't have Deep Point with Gilly Cricket, we will probably have a show post the day of the end of day's play. So yes, we should meet each other. Maybe on a different show, but we should meet each other. That's for sure. On that note, I'll now end this show. Uh, okay, two questions have come in. Your thoughts on team of the future after 5 years? Players like Abhishek Sharma. 5 years is a long time in cricket. Difficult to say. We'll have to see how these guys progress, because 5 years is really a long time. You could go out of form. You could become a proper beast. You could become a one format specialist. Very difficult to say. Uh, what if Sky debuts exploit is asking? Then all the best to him, and hopefully he grabs that opportunity with both hands and becomes a real um, differentiator between the two sides and helps India take a 1-0 lead if that happens. So, on this note, I'll now end this show, and I'd like to thank all of you for staying patient with me and bearing with me. Really enjoyed it, and like I say every time, it's an honor to take your questions and get the feeling that you guys place your trust in me and look forward to me answering your questions. It's a very humbling feeling, and I love it. Thank you so much, and on this note, I'll have to go. Bye bye. See you tomorrow.